Hey everybody, how you doing, Rich?
Good.
You're
Thanks for having me.
glad to see you here. So yeah, people are coming in. So let me remind everyone. Welcome everybody. Let us know where you're watching from. We usually got a pretty international group here due to the Facebook groups. Let us know. Comment underneath the lives. And then if you are watching from the Facebook groups, please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pics so that I'll be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. That is the little link under the live, streamyard.com/Facebook. Thank you.
Hi, Bobby.
We got,
Good to see you again.
Bobby from New Orleans. Good to see you, Bobby. Bobby won the Creative Cloud 12-month subscription, one of the last lives we had.
Nice. That's a great prize. Hi, Hannah.
Hannah from Belgrade. Good to see you here. Don't be shy, people.
Well, we're going to have some fun today. We'll do Photoshop tips too. So if there's something you want to know in Photoshop, we'll throw in a speed tip or two.
Excellent.
Hi, Osvaldo.
Okay. Osvaldo, good to see you here. One of my moderators. Thanks for being here. And then we got, not sure if I can pronounce the name, but glad to see you here. Asif Masadeg. Maybe that's it. Tried. Good to see you here. All right. Well, Rich, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a bit about Mylio Photos? Jump on.
Sure. Thanks for having me today. My name's Rich Harrington, and I've been involved in digital imaging for a very long time. I go all the way back to some of the first digital tools that we've had. I've been using Photoshop since the very first version, when I transitioned from, working on newspapers and cutting my fingers with razor blades and working with wax rollers to doing all digital, early PageMaker and page layout. I was fortunate that my college intersected with the digital revolution. So I've been working on nonlinear video editing since the very beginning and digital image editing since the very beginning. And through the years, I've had a chance to do a lot of teaching and helping of folks. I've written more than 40 books about digital photography, digital video, and the business of being an artist, and have produced about 200 plus full-length video courses for lynda.com, LinkedIn Learning, and Kelby Training. But about 6-7 years ago, I actually started getting into software design and product management. So I helped redesign a product called Perfectly Clear. Then I switched over to the Skylum team and helped them with their Luminar products and Aurora HDR. And I was helping manage Aurora HDR when it got App of the Year. And I recently left Skylum right now, and I'm helping a company called Mylio that's doing some amazing stuff that I'm going to show you today. And it perfectly intersects with both Lightroom and Photoshop. And it's just a great tool for organizing your assets. So I'm helping redesign this product. I'm also a photographer, a photo educator, have been an instructor at Photoshop World, and an author. So if you wouldn't mind bringing my screen up as well so people can see that, and we'll jump in. So that's me. You can easily find me on social media. Feel free to connect. Also today, we are going to weave in some Photoshop tips. I'm going to be bringing in some pictures and show you how I can jump between applications. But I'll teach you some things about Photoshop and Camera Raw. But if you have any requests, feel free to put them into the comments and we'll do what we can. What we're talking about today is a tool called Mylio Photos. And what Mylio Photos is it's a application that lets you combine all of your stuff into one unified library. So it's really cool. And effectively, what it's going to do is let you take every hard drive you have, every computer, all your devices, and totally connect them into one super photo library. So that's what I've got here. And I want to show you what my technology stack looks like. I have a lot of devices in my workflow. I've got an office, and it's, we've got a studio there for both photo and video. So I've got multiple computers there that I need to work with. I've got my home computers, my laptop, my iPad, my phone, my Android phone, just a lot of stuff. And so right here, you can see all my devices at play. And right now I'm logged in on my MacBook Pro. I'm logged in on my Mac Mini. I'm logged in on my iPad. And, if I launch Mylio on my iPhone, I'm logged in on my iPhone, and you're going to see that it lights up and connects. What I've done here is I've connected all of my devices. So for example, my Dell computer needs 7 pictures that aren't on my other devices. So as soon as I turn it on, it's going to sync. And that's what Mylio Photos does. It takes all these things and puts them into one super library. And so I've got 500,000 photos here. This is my entire photography collection, all my time-lapse work, all my photography work, a lot of my video work, time-lapse sequences, all in one place. And when I go to folder view, I can see everything. So this is my Apple Photos library from all my devices, and it instantly stays in sync. Here's some pictures from recent events. I take personal photos on my iPhone. I've got my Flickr library and all my Facebook pictures downloaded and in sync. These are some projects I'm working on. My main photo library, stock photos that I work with, my time-lapse library, and scans that I'm working on. Again, one unified library that I can access. And this unified photo library works whether I'm offline or online because it doesn't use the cloud. So I know that what I just said sounds a little bit like voodoo magic, and that's because nobody else does what Mylio does. Mylio is this cool company that believes in a couple of things that I'm super passionate about. One, IPTC standards and XMP, and that data is your data. So everything uses industry standards to tag, rate, and organize, which is cool. And it also believes in privacy. So everything is cloud-free unless you want to use the cloud. So my network, again, connects all of these devices. And no matter where I am in the world, they can see each other. So constant access is one of those first benefits. So what I'm going to do is show you how I can add a new folder of stuff. So when I click the import button, I can choose to grab something off of online service. I can import iPhoto libraries, Aperture libraries, photos for macOS. And on the Windows side, you wouldn't have those choices, but you have everything else. Or something accessible from this device. And so I'm just going to navigate to my main rated hard drive. And I've got a folder of some Photoshop stuff that I'm going to do some demos with today. I'm going to show you some cool things in Photoshop. When I click open, I get the ability to copy and move these, copy or move, or link them. And what linking does is it just links to the current location. So if you're already using these pictures in Lightroom or other photo software, you don't have to move anything. Mylio doesn't require you to change your workflow. So I'm just going to link them and say, you know what, point to that existing folder and go ahead. What it immediately does is it adds it in. And if I open this up, you'll see that it's starting to scan these folders, and I could track the importing right here. I see that it's just instantly scanning that and adding it right in. And it's totally compatible with Photoshop files, camera raw files, PDFs, video files. It all merges into one super library. So, Andrew, I don't just want to plow through that, but does that make sense? Like you just grab your stuff, no matter where it is, and throw it into one big bucket that syncs.
Right. So question I had was, if you're doing it that way, do you have to have like one destined like external drive that keeps like this main library, kind of like a Lightroom catalog, something similar?
It doesn't have to be on one drive. It could be spread out over multiple drives. But one of the things I like that we'll talk about later is Mylio can deduplicate your library to consolidate things. Because I imported the other day about 70 memory cards that I had just sitting in the drawer in my card wallets that I wasn't sure had I backed up, not backed up. Right. This is one of my summer projects, all these little portable hard drives that I've used through the years that I have, stuff that may or may not be backed up properly. Sure. Mylio automatically deduplicates when you import, and you can run a deduplication tool and it will merge all the metadata together and get rid of duplicate files. So it's a good idea to have a big hard drive, but you don't have to. But what Mylio encourages you to do is have a vault. So the vault is that big hard drive.
Right.
And hard drives have really gotten cheap. So I've got a Seagate hard drive here that's 15 terabytes. I couldn't believe how cheap a 15 terabyte hard drive was these days. You may not have been shopping for one, but want to take a guess?
So in the past, it would be like $800 or something like that.
300
Wow,
on
nice.
sale on Amazon, sometimes for like $270. Yeah.
Oh, so so Bobby has a question.
Yeah.
So what if they are already separated into subfolders? Does it keep that
Everything is preserved, 100%.
Cool.
Mylio doesn't move anything if you link to it.
Nice.
You can rearrange it when you import. You could tell it to like take things and organize it into subfolders, just like Lightroom can, like breaking it by year, month, date, or anything like that if you wanted to when you import. But for me, and probably almost everyone else here, I've already got a workflow. I've already got an organized hard drive. But if you don't, then you can let it organize it. But for most people, you're already kind of organized.
Great.
So that's what those vaults are, is it's one of those big backups. And my photo library is at about 10.5 terabytes right now. And that's about almost 500,000 photos. So with some video thrown in. So you can fit a lot. I mean, I know people who have more than 500,000 photos. I know people who have less. This isn't a comparison. This is after I've been cleaning up and getting rid of the bad ones. So, I was over 600,000 until I started getting rid of duplicates and bad pictures. And my goal is to weave it down to the ones I actually care about.
And just to clarify, when we see the green arrow moving right now, that means that it is bringing in photos or information from the Mac Mini, from the MacBook Pro, your iPhone, your iPad Pro, to the Mac Studio, correct? Oops, you're muted. So unmute. Rich, you're muted. Rich, you're muted.
There we go. I turned my mic off because I have a COVID cough.
Okay, sorry.
And you couldn't hear that. So you're 100% right. Like you saw how like this MacBook is counting down.
Right.
That now my MacBook has them. Now it doesn't have the full quality, and this is important to note. One of the things that's really cool about Mylio Photos is how it handles those things when you've got a bunch of pictures. So, for example, what it's doing is it's making smart previews, and Lightroom makes previews too. It's the same concept. Your raw files are optimized to a version that's 5% the original size, and that's what's going to my tablet and my laptop because I don't want to fill my laptop up. So while I've got a 15 terabyte hard drive there, like you start putting in big hard drives in your MacBook Pro, it's expensive and you aren't getting a 15 terabyte hard drive in a laptop. So this lets you shrink it down so it fits. But whenever you need it, Mylio will go and grab the full quality file by just letting your devices talk to each other.
Nice. And if we go back to that view of where it's syncing and uploading, another question I had was, so I can see that it easily uploads from a iPhone, iPad, any type of laptop, computer. Is there a way that you can also navigate to, say, your Photos app on your desktop? So say you take photos with your iPhone, and that's synced to your Photos app on your desktop. And so you do not keep your photo library on your iPhone, only on your Photos app on your desktop.
Yep.
Can you connect that Photos app to Mylio and just upload?
That's what I have right here. So when you import your Google Camera Roll or your iCloud photo roll, whether you're using iCloud or not, I'm going to say iCloud photo roll library, and I mean the same thing. Either the library that's just used in Apple Photos that's not in the cloud, or almost every Apple user has an iCloud account of some size. This connects to that. And so you don't have to download the originals. Mylio actually can connect to your iCloud account and see all those pictures in there. And it can also connect to your Google Camera Roll on an Android device. And that's what this is. So under the hood here, if I say, show me all my pictures, I can see that some of these came from my iPad, my iPhone, my M1 Mac, my Mac Studio, my Mac Mini, my laptop, right? But when I view this, it's just my Apple Photos library. And every picture I've taken, plus pictures I've saved to my camera roll, and these are my personal photos, some screenshots thrown in, stuff I want to remember, web page clippings, screenshots for tutorials as a photo educator. But that's literally shot for shot my Apple Photos library. And it supports things like live photos as well. So if you've got live photos in there or panoramas, you're actually going to see those. And if you've edited the pictures like I did this in Apple Photos, the edits come over too.
Great.
So totally synced with it if you use Apple Photos for anything.
And Osvaldo has a question. Can you schedule syncing?
So syncing is automatic, but you could turn it off. So what you have the ability is to turn it off so that it's not running, and then you can enable it. And you could disable device-to-device syncing, or you could disable cloud syncing if you don't want to sync. And you could turn it off on cellular, so it's not using cellular data, only Wi-Fi. So yes, you could basically schedule it by turning it off or on, but you can't say only during certain times. And so you can see that right now it's backing up all my files, including some really big ones, to my vaults at full quality. So if we look at the dashboard, the previews are already on my iPhone, my iPad, and this. And if I come over here and open up my PC computer, my Razer, and turn it on, it's going to show up here in just a second in the system. There it is. And so now you see I turn my PC on, the Razer. It's now getting those files. So when your devices wake up, they start to connect. And in just a second, it will actually start to transfer those pictures. Great. And down here, I've got my cloud happening. So my cloud is just simply the clouds that I connect to. So Andrew, do you shop on Amazon? Do you have Amazon Prime or anything like that?
I shop on Amazon all the time, yeah.
Yeah. So one secret that Amazon doesn't tell people that I like to point out is that if you have an Amazon Prime membership, in most countries, not all, you get free unlimited JPEG and RAW photo storage.
Oh, that's cool.
It's totally hidden with a app that's not something that a pro or semi-pro would look at, because it seems totally designed for consumers, because it is. But Mylio Photos can connect to your Amazon account and totally back up. So you see right now, it's backing up those files. Now, Photoshop files are not JPEG or RAW files. So I just buy an extra $10 a month to have 2 extra terabytes on my Amazon drive so that I could sync any Photoshop or video files that I want as needed. And that's half the price of Adobe storage. Amazon's cloud storage is half the price of Adobe's.
Great.
Plus, you could put a NAS in here. If you've got a Microsoft account, you can connect that. If you've got Google storage with your Google account, you can use that. And later this year, they'll be rolling out iCloud storage. So any of those, if you're already paying for cloud storage, Mylio doesn't charge you for cloud storage because they don't use cloud storage. You just pick it if you want to connect it like a drive.
Great. And question I have in terms of syncing. So say you started to sync and then you stopped the syncing.
Yep.
Would, if a couple days went by, as an example,
yep,
would Mylio pop up a warning telling you, saying, you seem to have stopped syncing. Did you want to turn it back on? As well as if you were syncing a big majority of photos and different sources, would a pop-up tell you when you're done syncing as well?
Yeah, so you'll get notifications. That's what this is here. And it'll tell you if there's a file it skips, or if there's a problem. Like here, it wants me to reconnect my Facebook account. You could see just errors. It'll warn you if you have a device that hasn't backed up for a while, like this computer I can't access right now. It's at a different office and it's turned off. So you see it needs 7,000 pictures, but I turned my Razer on, it's up to date. This computer's at my office here in Virginia. When I open it up or power it up, it'll get those 349 pictures we updated. So the problem with most 3-2-1 backup, most backup solutions, is that you have to remember to run them. This one, once you set it up, it's done. It just runs. And if for some reason it's not running, it tells you. So not only is everything in sync, I'm a paranoid guy. I make my life on my images. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 backup copies happening here. And I don't have to do anything. I just buy a cheap $300 hard drive, plug it in to a computer somewhere in my network, and it just backs up. So, knock on wood, my house could be robbed. It could burn to the ground. My entire photo library is backed up to my office.
Right.
The photos rows are stored on your devices. So whatever device you connect. So when you say this is a vault device, that means it gets everything at full quality. But my laptop, my phone, not at full quality. So I'm going to switch to my iPad for a second, and then we'll do this. But this gives you a kind of a good idea. So 1 terabyte of data on a phone is just going to take up 1 gigabyte of space. And that'll be thumbnails and a full catalog so you can search. If you want to have smart RAW files, small smart previews that are fully editable with raw data, 1 terabyte gets shrunk down to about 45 gigs. So that 10 terabyte photo library takes up about 450 gigs of space on my 2 terabyte iPad or my 2 terabyte laptop. And that's totally optional. And then your desktop computers or your big hard drive at home, that's where everything gets fully backed up at original quality. And Mylio will let you know if you don't have your data backed up 3 times. So if you've always thought about, oh, I really wish I could follow 3-2-1 backup, it's going to make sure that you have 3 copies of your data always safe. So here's my iPad, okay? So when I'm on the go with my iPad, I have my entire 25 years of photography. And I just want to show the speed on an iPad. Watch this, okay? Present day, 2015, 2014, some underwater photos, some pictures from Max. Look at that sort of speed there. That's literally everything. And I can go in and see my folder structure, and I've got all my client jobs. I've got my personal photos. Everything is, these are real folders on my computer. So if I want to see something from a project shoot, like, we did a shoot for the American Diabetes Association for the Tour to Cure event, which is a fundraising bicycle event. So let's say I needed to go in and grab some of those. I could. Or maybe I want to share some pictures from a trip to Japan. There's everything from that trip to Japan. And all of these are fully editable. So when I open this up and I want to work with one of these files here, let's take something that's a little blown out, right? This is a small, smart, raw file. So when I tap auto, it actually has the ability here. Look at that, full raw recovery at 5% the size of the original. Now, Andrew, I know that you can't get something 5% without making some changes. So what we do is it gets shrunk down to a 5x7 inch print at print quality, 5x7, 300 pixels per inch. So you could make anything you need for social media, a 5x7 print, what you need for a slideshow, HD video, whatever you need. But this is a full raw file with all the flexibility of white balance and tint and temperature, and even everything you would need to edit right on the device. And with the tap of a button, if I want the original raw file, all I have to do is say download original. Cool. And it's going to connect to one of my other devices, and this will switch from the small raw file to, in this case, I think this was shot on an Olympus. Yeah, Olympus. It's going to pull down the original ORF file, and I'll have that at full quality right at my fingertips. So, it just dials into one of your devices and pulls it back and grabs it for you.
Right. So to clarify, Osvaldo asks, it can connect to devices, programs, and the cloud, correct?
Yes. So you can connect to Flickr, Facebook, or do a Google takeout of your Google photo library. It connects to any hard drive you own, any computer that you own, Android or iOS tablet, Android or iOS phone. And the easiest way I say it is it kind of takes all your digital devices and makes them one big happy family so they could talk to each other. So now if we look at the info there, look, there's that original full quality raw file. You can see the full resolution there that, I have 0 sacrifices. So I'm working with the full original file. But I'm on my tablet here. Here's my favorite feature, and then I'll show you on the desktop, right? When you want to edit, because we all have apps we love, all you have to do is tap the share button, and you can choose any app on your iPad that works with photos. So, for example, you want to go to Photoshop Express. Watch this. I'm sending the raw file right to Photoshop Express. And on my tablet, I'm now working in Photoshop.
Nice.
With all that flexibility. So I can pull any picture from my hard drive at home or work with the smart preview file on my device, even offline. So watch, let's go to airplane mode. No internet whatsoever. So I'm working on a plane. I'm, in my zone trying to work. And I realize that, I want to work with a picture. Well, we've got the smart raw file, the nice tiny one here. And I could say, that's great. Let me go in and just do a little basic edit to that, recover the highlights a little. And, I'm going to tap the button here and say, you know what? I don't have the raw file, but I'm working offline. No problem. Use the smart preview. And again, I could choose any tool on my thing, not only editors, but I can go to social networks, Slack, Notion, page layout tools, WordPress. Everything that can open a picture on your iPhone or your Android device is at your fingertips. And again, I tap and I'm in Photoshop.
Fantastic.
Isn't that pretty amazing? I mean, we're offline. Again, I'm in airplane mode and everything is accessible because nothing is stored on the internet. That's the part that when you wrap your head around that you don't have to pay for data transfer. You don't have to wait for downloads. You have every picture you've ever taken. And so when you want to be a creative artist, like I love your collages and I know you've got an extensive amount of source material, you get an inspiration. You don't want to have to plan in advance. You want to just be able to go, I know I got that and start digging through and, oh yeah, I had some neon and I want to use this. You just jump in and you get it and you work. Or before you leave home, or if you're on a Wi-Fi network, I'll get back to Wi-Fi. If you realize there's something you need, you could say, hey, go ahead and download that full folder at original quality. I want these at full quality. And it just goes and fetches the whole folder and starts a download. What do you think, man?
Yeah, fantastic. And Bobby has a great question.
Yep.
He says, you mentioned IPTC data, so I'm guessing it's possible to search for images you tagged, particularly captions, earlier in something like Photo Mechanic.
Yes. So one of the things we're working on right now with Mylio is the ability to have some speed tools for culling, like with touch. But let's just open up some pictures here. And so anything that you've put in here for tags or keywords is going to be there. So if I go in here and I open one of these up and I just go to the info tab, you'll see that I've got my keywords, Austin, colorful, South by Southwest, right? It's all there. And if we geotag things, it would be there. In this case, if I didn't geotag this, but I wanted to, watch how simple this is. I could just say, hey, let's go to the map tab, right? And I'll just open this up a little bit, right? There it is, map. And I'm going to search for Soho. Let me type on the right keyboard. There we go. Soho, Austin, Texas, right? And so I see, yeah, there it is, the Soho Theater on Austin, Texas. I was there for South by Southwest, saw Katy Perry here years ago before she was ever famous. And I say, there it is, cool. And I just literally drag the picture and, I can go back here to grid view and grab those pictures. Let me just go back here to folders and I'll go up a level. Oops, went one too far. Bad tap there. So 1 second. There we go. Austin. And I'm just going to grab those pictures from that theater. That's it. Cool. Press and hold to select the first one. And then I'm just going to say range and grab these. And then what I can do is literally just drag and drop them onto the map. And that is going to give me the ability to geotag them. And those geotags will work in Lightroom, Bridge, or anywhere else. So if you didn't geotag your photos or you want to, you totally can. And I could do the same thing here. I could search for the Grove Theater and then tag those. Because later, when you want to find stuff, all your geotag things show up on a searchable map. And you can see all your pictures from around the world. You can find what you're looking for, zoom in. You know, I've taken a lot of pictures when, you know, visiting Las Vegas and stuff. So if I go to my all photo view there, that's cool. And I'll just go back to the map there. As I start to zoom in or look at things, I'm seeing all my stuff. And so, you know, here's some of those visits. And, you know, I'll just zoom in here and you can start to see, you know, there's Las Vegas, there's Arizona. And as you keep getting closer, now there's some of the different places like Red Rock Canyon, and also, you know, going out here to, you know, some of these different places that we love to take in the desert. You know, there's all my pictures from Red Rock, and I can see everything right there and have it all at my fingertips. So you can search on the map, or you can go in and look at your calendar and search your calendar. You can actually sync your calendars to this. So if you go, oh, when was it that we went on that vacation, or when I visited that particular place? Oh, I think that was here. All your stuff just syncs up. So you could literally look by memory here of when you lived your life. Nice. And everything just gets laid out on a calendar, and you can see things with your calendars overlaid. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very nice. I like that. So sounds like Rose is excited, as well as, you know, everyone should be. What is the cost of the program, she asked, and
Sure.
does it work in with Lightroom? Not quite sure what she means by that, but
you know, we actually have a Lightroom plugin, believe it or not. It sounds strange, and I'll explain why. But the normal price is $9.99 a month, or $99 a year. Andrew, I know you have a special for your readers and followers, so it's on sale because the program literally launched today. So we're coming here. This is fresh stuff. So you go, I hadn't heard of this before. I'm not surprised. So, you know, Mylio's been around for a few years, but this is a brand new product. And, you know, they've been working on this. It was started by the former chief technology officer of Microsoft. And, you know, they've put a lot of effort into this to really have a private, secure thing. So now, as far as does it work with Lightroom? Absolutely. Let me show you what that looks like. So let me go in here. You saw the Photoshop integration. I want to show that one more time because that's my preferred workflow. A lot of people forget that every slider that you have inside of Lightroom, you have inside of Photoshop, and you also have a lot more. So some people are Photoshop people, some people are Lightroom people, some people are both. But for me, this takes the place of Lightroom. But for other people, it doesn't have to. If Lightroom is where you want to keep things organized, that's totally cool. So, for example, let me just go in here and open up some pictures. And I'll come in here. And I'm just going to grab something here that I want to send to Photoshop. So when I go to the photo menu, I can choose Edit In and Open With. And anything that you have on your computer that can open that picture is available. So I've got Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, Photoshop, Photoshop Elements, Affinity, Air Magic, Aurora, Skylum, Luminar. I use a lot of tools. And since I also, you know, run a photography website, I have to try everybody's tools. So I don't want to say that this is every photo editor on the planet, because there's always a million ones, but I think everyone could probably find something here they use, Andrew.
Yeah, and Rose says that she has some seniors who she teaches that it might be something that would interest them as well as me, of course.
Cool. Yeah. And we have a whole hands-on 2-hour video course that you get for free to learn with. So that's included. And that's really awesome. So when I hit open in Photoshop, since I've already got this on my computer, it just opens in Photoshop that fast. If you were on a device that didn't have the original file, it would go and download the raw file. So let me show you what we could do here in Camera Raw. First off, one secret, even pros aren't afraid to click the auto button. There's nothing wrong with clicking the auto button, folks. That's fine. Then know that the histogram is interactive. So I'm going to open up the shadows a little bit there and just nudge over the midtones, but recover the highlights. So you could just drag right on those, which is really cool. Additionally, looking at these here, I'm going to come down to curves, and there's another awesome on image tool. So clicking the on image tool lets you come over to your image and say, oh, I want to make that area a little bit more recovered. And I'd like this area here just to be a little bit darker. And it moves the curve the right amount. Same thing, color mixer, targeted adjustment tool or on image tool. It's right there. It's awesome. And I'm going to say, you know what I want to adjust? I want to adjust the luminance. Make the yellow brighter. Make the red or orange brighter. It moves the red and orange slider there for that text. Oh, let's tweak the saturation of that. So I can choose saturation. And again, on image tool, more saturated, more saturated. I didn't have to make a single selection. This targeted adjustment tool does everything. It works on curves. It works on HSL. All right, let's use geometry. And I'm going to use guided upright. Guided upright's awesome because it lets you actually say, that's a straight line. And this right here should be a straight line. And that's really cool. And looking at that, I think this area here should feel kind of level. That's cool. And there's the street. Let's make the street level.
Nice.
Look at how we just fixed all the perspective issues. You know, we were able to compensate. So guided upright's awesome. You just do straight lines, which is cool. And, you know, you can do whatever you want. And when you decide you're done with this picture, two things. So, Andrew, you know, when you click done, Photoshop, just like Lightroom, is going to write an XMP file. That's cool. Mylio digs XMP. Mylio can't use that XMP file, but it won't overwrite your Photoshop edits that are stored in it, or your camera raw edits, I should say. So, you know, it actually just stores it in that sidecar file. That's where Mylio also stores ratings and geotags. So all that information lives in the XMP file. But when I'm ready to save this, I just click a button and I could say save in same location, document name, and make it a JPEG. Or if you add this underscore display, then Mylio will auto stack it. And so now I'm just going to save that in the same location like that. It writes it and I can click done, or I can click open and I'm in Photoshop. So if we go back to Mylio now, it's going to take a second and it's going to scan that folder. And when it does, it's going to pick up that we edited the picture and it will show up right here in Mylio. And so you can see now that there's the raw file plus the JPEG plus the XMP. So now Mylio shows you the edited pictures are in there and you can switch between those states. You can see the edited one, you can see the JPEG one. And so all we have to do is leave the folder and then go right back into it. And the next time you visit it, you see that it loaded that display image. There's the edits we did, straightening it, leveling it, fixing the walls. And you can also open it up. If you didn't want to do the display thing, you know, when you go back to Photoshop, same thing, photo edit with, you know, it's going to hand that off. There it is. See, there's those edits preserved. This time I'll just save it as a JPEG without the display. And it will just save it as a new version in my library. And so what it will do now is scan the library and it drops it in. There we go. And you can see it right there. There's the progress. So it's just scanning that folder and it's automatically putting that picture onto all my other devices. So if I were to go to my phone or my laptop, my Photoshop edits would be there. Does that make sense, Andrew? Like you can jump to any editor and then when you're done, it gets synced to everything. So like when you want to show somebody what you were recently working on, you don't have to remember to copy it to your iPad or put it in the cloud somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. Nice.
But we talked about Lightroom. So if you want to go to Lightroom, all you got to do is select what you want to send to Lightroom. And when you say photo open with Lightroom Classic, it's going to launch Lightroom Classic and actually trigger the import module. And it will select the pictures that you had chosen. So it'll navigate to that folder and it will automatically check the pictures that you had checked in the box as ready for import into Lightroom. Now, I had a lot of pictures in this. So short version here, let's just let Lightroom catch up. You know, but you see there, it triggered the import module. And if I scroll down to where those pictures were, they're going to be checked for import. So when I click import in the Lightroom, it's just going to import those pictures right there. Boom. And now it's bringing all the other ones in. So you could totally go right into Lightroom, grabbing one picture, grabbing multiple pictures, and they'll suck them all up in, make your edits. When you're done, drag it on Mylio Photos here, and it will actually bring it back into your Mylio library with the edits. So like if I wanted to merge these together, say in Lightroom here, look, Lightroom's taking a while to import. I'm glad to say that Mylio is faster at imports than Lightroom.
Nice.
So I think, you know, I always like when it helps me. But there, we got our HDR image, right? So let me take those brackets and I'm going to say, oh, go ahead and photo merge those to HDR. You know, so now you can use all that exposure data. This merge to HDR tool in Lightroom is awesome. Photoshop has it too. And I could say, oh yeah, that's cool. Go ahead and do a little bit of, well, there's actually no deghosting, so I don't need to worry about it. I'll click merge. And now it's going to make that new HDR file. And it will drop it in here. You can see it's like right there. It's processing it. And so when Lightroom is done with the photo merge, I'll be able to actually further develop that. And when you're all done, you just get this little Mylio publishing service. So you could drag anything from your Lightroom library on it, and it will automatically update what the picture looked like in Mylio. Great. So there's the HDR. Let's find it. ORF. Yep. And so the DNG is almost done. That's what this is telling us. There we go. Creating HDR. So it's almost done. So as soon as that merge is done, I could send it back to Mylio.
Excellent. And Rose has a question. What about Lightroom Mobile and the normal Lightroom? I assume they will also sync, of course.
So it doesn't have a plugin because Lightroom doesn't support plugins, the new Lightroom, but you can absolutely hand off for import into the new Lightroom. Right. And then when you're done, you just export it like I showed you and put it back in the same folder, and Mylio will find it. Mylio scans your folders and keeps them up to date. Nice. So if you jump into some other tool to edit, Mylio edits. If you modify the star rating in Lightroom, Mylio sees it. If you modify it in Mylio, Lightroom sees it. So XMP is XMP. So it's you know, that's the beauty of doing this the right way, right? So there, you know, all I got to do here is just I'll find the DNG file. It's still merging.
And Bobby has a good question. So how would you work with custom camera profiles that I normally apply in Lightroom Classic? Does Mylio have that built in?
It doesn't have to have it built in because, again, when Mylio is done with the merge, all you do is drag it onto this publish thing, and it updates the high-quality preview image. So it bakes in a preview image, just like how a Photoshop file has a preview image in it. So the two are in sync. You have a high quality version that you could do whatever you want with. Here, I'll just do it this way. Watch. So let me take this one here.
I think what Bobby means is when he just brings them over into Mylio originally, separate from this process.
Right.
It keeps the regular color profiles, of course, right?
Right. So if I go in, what he's talking about are some of these custom camera profiles, right? So let's do something like one of these cool gritty black and whites, right? So we'll like give that one of that, something that's really easy to see. And so I add a cool camera profile and I pop the texture and, you know, we get a little clarity. And since we're going full grit, you know, let's just quickly fix that. And let's give it a little bit of a vignette, right? So let's say that's kind of where we were. Well, watch. All I got to do is drag that back on Mylio here. Let me just set it up. There it is. Yes, go to Mylio. Cool. Publish. Save. Now it's set up. Drag. Drop. And what it's going to do is it will just publish it right back. There it is. See? So you queue everything up. You can go into any photographs you recently edited. You just drag them in here and click publish. Great. It's going to go through. Boom. Done. It'll clear it. And when we switch back to Mylio, watch what happens. So it's going to take a second. It will scan those devices. And in a moment, it's going to pick up that black and white photo and show it to me in Mylio as the preferred edit state. So, it's just going to, once this finishes the sync here, it's just syncing these devices and scanning. This is when it's going to pick up the changes. So it just keeps scanning your folders. Sure. And it will find when the edits are applied. And usually within about 30 seconds to a minute, it's going to update and you will see the change right here in Mylio. And you will see it on every one of your phones, tablets, laptops, whatever. It's instantly backed up.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah. So we'll let that finish just so everyone believes me. But that's all it's doing is, Lightroom published it right back and it's going to sync. So I'll show you that on the tablet here in a second. Besides searching on a map, searching on the calendar, Mylio has two other types of search that are awesome. One is it is great at people tagging, and none of this people tagging happens on the cloud. So I can go in and, I can find examples of, all these people I've ever worked with, and it's automatically in the background scanning and saying, oh, I think I know who these people are. So if we go into batch tagging mode here, it will come back and say, hey, I think these are pictures of your son. Was I right? And I could just look through and go, yeah, all of those are, except this one's not. This is not my son. And this one's my daughter. And it guessed. Well, it said, well, two young kids from the same parents sometimes look a little alike. Everything else is good. Cool. Approve. And then it's going to say, oh, I think that this is mostly your daughter. And I said, yep, all of these are, except that's my son. And you can go through and fix the ones that aren't right. But again, with siblings, especially at certain ages. But, it went here, found my wife, found my dad, found my daughter's friend, found my aunt, right? And it's recognizing her from, her old photos here. It's able to match back. Found one of my coworkers, right? And it's all there. So later, when you need to find something, you could be in your photo library and say, hey, only show me pictures that have, for example, these people in it. And so you just say filter, and you could choose who you want to see. Like, hey, I want to see pictures of my wife. And it's going to go ahead and only show me pictures of my wife.
Nice.
Or I want to see pictures of my wife and this other person. So you can add multiple people. I could say, show me pictures of my wife and 4-star and 5-star pictures. So only it narrows it down. Or pictures that were taken in a certain place or on a certain date or a date range. And so you can instantly sort through your library with this type of speed. I mean, yeah. I went from 500,000 photos to this in 2 clicks, and that was the speed of search. And so we're working on AI search, but any tags or keywords are there already. So when I search right now, let me search for Prince. It finds all the photos I tagged with Prince. It also can read text. So if you had the word Prince, it could actually read that in the album covers, in this album thing that I have here. If I typed in the word, it also read this sign here, Prince William Forrest. It read this sign here, Prince George. It actually reads the text in your pictures and can generate search results. Is that kind of cool?
Yeah, that's really cool. Is that AI of sorts?
So this is optical character recognition. And just like the people detection, none of it requires the cloud or the internet. Everything happens on your device. And so if you want to use the cloud with Mylio, you have the ability to do it, and you could choose encryption. Now, the free service on Amazon won't let you encrypt, but if you pay for one of the cloud providers, you can encrypt it. And when you start to post to the cloud, you don't have to put everything to the cloud. So like with Lightroom, you have to put everything in the cloud. With Mylio, I can come down to my cloud drive here and say, oh, device quality, I only want my 5-star pictures in the cloud. Oh, or I only want pictures that I tagged with this keyword, like active project, or ones that I labeled blue or green. So if I say only put my blue tag photos or my 5-star photos in the cloud, and I click apply, now what it's going to do is it's going to look for things that meet those criteria and start uploading them to the cloud. So you could be that granular with your control of what goes to the cloud or what doesn't.
Excellent. And Rose says, what about backups?
Totally automated. Remember, when we add a device, we can set it to be a vault. So a vault means it's a backup. So this is putting a copy of everything on here. So right now, my Dell computer is turned off, and that's where these 2 drives are plugged in. But my Amazon vault and my backup vault are both running. So every picture is there. And when I'm ready to add another device, I just click add, choose a device, choose a phone, a tablet, a computer, a hard drive, and it just walks you through how to set it up. Everything works that simply. And, that's what's happening there is all those things are just going to stay in sync. And so as you work through here, you've got everything. And Andrew, you could literally be on vacation and say, oh, import to my hard drive at home. It'll temporarily keep it on your laptop until it knows it's been backed up, or you choose to erase it once it's been backed up. But you can actually target hard drives at home and know that everything is going to that specific hard drive and all your vaults. So I literally just added a folder here on my hard drive, and wherever I am, when I click import on my laptop or on my iPad, I can import on that device. And as soon as I get on a Wi-Fi network, it starts transferring and backing up the data in my home computer. So you can work from anywhere in the world and have whatever you want at your fingertips. And when you're offline, you still have it. And when you get back online, it syncs. So I know it's a little crazy, but it's like all the benefits of the cloud with none of the security headaches. If I were to put this library into Adobe's cloud, like I wanted to put it into the Lightroom mobile, it would cost me $1,600 a year to do that. I don't want to do that. I pay a fraction of that. I give Amazon an extra $120 a year to have 2 terabytes of backup for my Photoshop files. I also back up to Backblaze because I'm paranoid, and that can run. And everything else is just on physical hard drives. And I just leave my computer on at home. It can grab it from there, or it can grab it from my Amazon cloud. And I could be on my phone. I could be on my tablet. I could take out my Android phone. Everything talks to each other.
And so a couple questions is
outer space. I see that one. That's a great question.
What about working from outer space?
As long as you got internet.
Yeah, right. Now, if you had a like a folder that you synced and connected to Mylio, and then you went in and you deleted like 50 photos from that folder.
Yep.
Mylio would automatically update it and just register, instead of 500, 450 photos, correct?
It depends. So if you are a power user and you know that when you delete things, you want to delete things, you turn off this option called safe delete. So this way, if you delete things, you're actually deleting things. So if I say, oh, I'm looking at my Photoshop demo folder here, and I'm totally done with this, I know I don't want it, I can say that I want to delete that, and it's going to actually erase it on my hard drive. Or maybe I'm in there and I say, oh, I was looking at this and I don't need this one. So when I delete it, it's going to say, are you sure? Yes. Great. It's actually in the trash and moved out on all my devices sitting in the trash can, on your system trash can, and you can empty it. You could say, oh, you know what? I totally need to move these folders. They're in the wrong place. And I can grab these and just say, oh, let's move those. And you could say, oh, where do you want to go? I can say, oh, I need to move that onto my main hard drive. Go to that inbox folder on my hard drive and move them there. And they actually move. And now they are actually moved on my real hard drive at home. It's talking to the hard drive at home and it's moving it around. So you can actually move and manage your files. If you're the type of person who accidentally deletes things because you're not comfortable managing, then you turn on safe delete and Mylio will say, oh, oops, you had these in your backup vault, but you deleted them on your device. Did you really want to delete them? Sure. And it will give you the opportunity to restore them automatically or to leave them deleted. So
great feature.
Yeah. So you're probably like me. You're like, I'm sure I want to delete stuff. I want to move stuff around, but not everybody's is,
Right.
not everyone is like, our jockeys like we are that are just used to like managing our data for years, but you got total control. And when you're working on your devices that aren't vaults, you have total control. So when you say, oh, hey, I'm on my tablet and, I temporarily want to grab, I want to work on those pictures here. These are my recent photo shoots. And I never got around to developing those pictures from Germany. I can go in and say, oh, download the originals to this device. And then later, when I want to free up space, I can just switch back to preview because the vaults still have the originals. So you can dynamically switch between full quality and low quality. You could do that. If you had to send a picture to a client, like let's say I narrowed this down and I wanted the client to make a select. And I say, oh, you know what? Just show me the ones that are 4-star and 5-star. Select all my pictures, tap the share button, right? And it's going to go pull down the full quality pictures automatically if it can connect to the internet. If it can't, because all your devices are offline, then it would say, do you want to use the preview quality? But you could share, you can email these to a client. Keep in mind, guys, these are like full quality raw files. And so, it's taken a little bit to download because it's actually transferring them from my one device to the other, but it would pull all 20 of those 3 down. If you just needed the one, you could do the one. And, again, when you go to share or edit, then it fetches the original. But a lot of times you totally don't need that because what we have here is it is actually a small raw file. So when you decide to edit right on the device, you've got that ability to, recover highlights, tweak your exposure, lift your shadows, and you're actually working with raw data. So, you could have a small raw file. My tablet has 25 years of photos and 95% of those are raw photos.
Great. So Rose asks, so do you have any cloud backups if this fails?
Absolutely. I am paranoid. But here's the thing to note. Even if Mylio fails, your hard drives are all there. All it does is organize the files on the drive. It also backs up its catalog multiple times automatically, and it stores every single edit and piece of metadata in an XMP sidecar file next to it that other apps could see. So if you were to just take that Mylio vault and drive it across town and plug it in and open up Adobe Bridge, you'd see all your geotags, you'd see all your face tags, you'd see your ratings and labels.
So that keywords. That links to Ron's question. Are the keywords labels written to the XMP to
Absolutely.
be read by Lightroom Classic? Yeah.
Mylio's into privacy, XMP and IPTC standards, and working with every other photo tool seamlessly.
Yeah, cool.
Nobody else syncs like this. Mylio's just like, have all your pictures at all times, even without the internet, and edit in Mylio or edit wherever you want. And every single thing we do is totally compliant with the IPTC standard. Excellent. So it's a piece of cake. You got all that stuff there and you can edit and do whatever you want. So yeah, I know that this sounds weird, but imagine that, basically this company was started by people who were totally about protecting privacy, totally about not putting your pictures in the cloud or analyzing your data. Everything happens on your device. Everything happens total security. Only thing Mylio backs up is it keeps a backup copy of a couple of settings so we can rebuild the database, but nothing is stored on Mylio servers. They never see your pictures. Right. Everything happens right on the device.
Nice.
So, and then again, with just the tap of a button, I can be editing anywhere. So if I wanted to be here and I said, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm done with that edit. All I have to do is tap export and I'm ready to send that picture out. So, you can have your picture and then just share it wherever you want. So it's going to give you that ability to work with those files. So I'll just go ahead and stop filtering there, and so you've got whatever you want right there at your fingertips. I'll tap the share button. I'm on my mobile iPad here. let's go right back to airplane mode so there's no internet. So I fly all the time. And instead of doing Photoshop, let's say we want to drop that into Lightroom Mobile. It's going to take it and send it over. And I'm going to say, that's great. Go ahead and launch Lightroom. It thinks, it adds the picture, and it dropped that into my library. So if I go back to the grid, there it is, and I'm ready to work. So you could totally use whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. So if any of you are control freaks like me, you're probably really happy right now. And Andrew, like, when you're doing all your creative work now, you don't have to plan in advance. You could just keep a preview of your entire image database on all your devices. So when inspiration hits, you can work, and you can grab whatever you need from your computers at home. I literally used to carry around 3 hard drives like this in my computer bag all the time. None of them now, not a single one. All I carry is a little SSD to back up my laptop so that if my laptop were stolen or crashed, I'd have a backup copy.
Excellent. And Rose asked, is there a mobile phone app for
Absolutely.
Mylio?
So I was doing this on the iPad, but it is absolutely on Android and iOS as well. So let me just disconnect the one and we'll reconnect this. So give me 1 second and I'll share that. So yeah, all we have to do is I just plugged in my iPhone and I'll say, show me my iPhone. There we go. And there it is. Same thing right there. Search your calendar, see everything laid out by, day, month, year, search your map, be able to navigate around, search by people, geotag. And again, if you want to take like a recent photo shoot, you could just sit there. And again, this is all responsive. There's albums and there's pictures. So I got a recent photo shoot that I needed to process. There we go. I had a shoot the other day that I just, I went into Washington, D.C. and I haven't processed this shoot yet. You could see that I've been doing ratings and everything else. And you could literally just go through and tag, rate, add stars. Just tap the info button there and there's your stars. You can do flags. You can add ratings. You can do color labels. It's all right there on your device and you got full control.
Excellent. And let's see. So Roland says, a big fan of Rich Harrington. Will be eternally grateful if you could mention my name. Woke up at 4 a.m. just for this masterclass.
Thank you, Roland. I appreciate that. Where are you from?
He's in the Philippines.
Oh, awesome. I had a chance. Did we meet when I got to visit the conference in the Philippines several years ago?
Probably, most likely, yeah.
That was a great time. I really enjoyed that. My wife and I had a chance to visit the Philippines, and one of our best writers over at Photo Focus is from the Philippines, Joy. So I love the Philippines. It was so nice to visit there.
Yeah, and Roland's very active with videos himself, and he's done a few lives with me, and we'll be doing a live later on this week. So
yeah,
that's great.
So to summarize kind of what you got, everything syncs across all your devices, guys. So everything is one totally searchable library, all the devices connected. You can search on any criteria, like look it by camera, look it by lens. And when you click on it, boom, there's all the pictures from that camera. So everything is totally in there and organized. And you can, use all the things you're used to, filter and search by person or by date or by criteria or map. You can go in and, search with optical character recognition text, and it will actually read the data on the signs or the words. And, you can actually, do any advanced filters you want and search by multiple criteria. And again, find things, make albums, share, really straightforward, which is really kind of cool. And one of the things that I love, although I've already done it, is you can actually totally deduplicate your library, and it will scan and find all the times where you've got exact duplicates. So like when you imported from a memory card multiple times, or you merged a bunch of hard drives together, it will find all those copies, merge the ratings and metadata together into one new XMP file, and let you free up hard drive space. And if you are comfortable, you can delete them. And if you don't want to, you can move them out. And coming soon, we're actually already working on one to do burst mode cleanup. So if you've got a lot of pictures that are similar, you'll be able to group them and see them. And it's just a great way to clean up your hard drive. So I hope people find that useful. So Andrew, you got a code for everybody already if they want to check it out. And it works for 30 days for free. But Andrew's got a code that works for the next couple of weeks that knocks off $25 off of an annual membership.
Great. So yeah, and make sure you go to bit.ly Mylio Photos, and do check in the link to the recordings that I post everywhere. You will see the link to Mylio and the discount. So, and people are. Hannah says smart app, very detailed, useful presentation. Thanks, Rich and Andrew.
Cool.
And Roland says, thanks, Rich and Andrew. My creative soul can rest now.
Well, and what I like, guys, is it's not about technology. It's about what technology lets us do as artists. So for me, there's two things here that I love, besides the fact that I didn't have to change my workflow, right? Like I don't want to have to learn I don't mind learning new things, but I don't want to start over. So I love the fact that everything I already do works, but I don't have to plan ahead. I'm kind of an impulsive person. When creativity hits or an idea hits, I want access to everything I've ever done. So to be able to find any picture and create with it, or have my work samples with me to make a portfolio, or do what I need to for a lesson or to make a project is awesome. And then when I could take out my smartphone or my tablet or my device, and I could just look at it and go, wow, look at that. All my stuff is backing up. And I could check the status of my library and see, are my devices backed up? Are my vaults backed up, right? I could literally see that it's uploading files here to my backup devices and know that my stuff is safe. Peace of mind plus freedom is kind of an awesome thing to have. So,
yeah, fantastic.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you having me. And I know we ran a little bit over, but thank you guys for all the questions. It was a lot of fun to dig in deep.
Yeah, it was excellent. Very good. And to also follow Rich further, you can find him also on photofocus.com. And remember, it's bit.ly at Mylio Photos.
Good job getting the bit.ly link there, man.
Yeah. You get the 25% off, only $74.99 a year for the first year, or only $7.49 a month. Quite nice.
And do me a favor, guys, and I mean this sincerely. So Mylio Photos is not a tiny company, but it's like a 30-person company, but it's a startup, so like they've been working on this for 8 years. And, the previous product was like kind of like a proof of concept, but they never really tried to sell it. Today is the launch. And I would sincerely appreciate if you wouldn't mind telling other people about this. And, if you discover it and you like it, please tell folks, because I think everybody needs their pictures backed up, and I think everybody should have access to their stuff without paying huge cloud data. And it doesn't change anything. Whatever tool you like to edit with, you have. But I would sincerely appreciate if you could tell people about this, because, you work on something this long and this hard, and it's designed to help people. I want this to be successful. And I'm sincerely passionate about this because I think it does some amazing things. I just love that the company is committed to privacy and security and keeping my files safe, and that nothing is held hostage. So I really they're great guys, and I'd appreciate if you guys could tell folks about this and just spread the word a bit. And normally I'm not so pushy like that. So I hope that, I'm not being too strong here, but I really think this is cool things, and I appreciate if you guys can help me.
Yeah. So Roland says, we'll definitely check this out. Mylio for the win.
Awesome.
Bobby says, thanks guys. I'm much less confused now.
Yeah. And Bobby, it's normal to be confused because it's kind of like black voodoo magic. So we're going to shrink everything down, put it on all devices, make Android talk to iOS, iOS talk to Windows. You're like, iOS doesn't work with Windows, barely, and Android doesn't work with Mac. It's not easy. Right. I've worked with Skylum, on Luminar and Aurora. I've worked with the Adobe team, helping them with the video features for Photoshop. I've done all sorts of stuff through the years on software. And there's great folks out there. Like Adobe is filled with wonderful engineers. The guys behind this are smart. There's some good nerds.
I bet. And then Rose says, thanks very much. Pleased it works with Lightroom.
Absolutely. It's designed to work with everything.
And then Roland says that he will tell people about this here in the Philippines.
Thank you, Roland. I appreciate that. And Andrew, thanks for having me, especially on launch day. I joined this company about 6 months ago to help them with this quest, and I'm just so excited by what this is doing, and I really am excited. So I didn't even sleep last night because today's launch day. So if I'm a little bit manic, it's because I've been up for 37 hours. so
only 37
only. So this is a little more manic than I normally am.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It was really excellent. And, as I said, I'll post the link to the recording everywhere. And that will also be the link to Mylio itself. So once again, 25% off Mylio Photos, and look for the bit.ly link. So yeah, thank you so much, Rich. Excellent tour through all the different worlds and avenues of Mylio Photos. Really excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Have a great one, everybody. Check
Bye.
out Mylio Photos.